And overall, the PCB migration out of the harbor will be reduced. Right now, it's what, 95 pounds per year going out of the outer harbor barrier. And the amount of short-term generation of PCBs during the construction, filling, and capping out is about 11 pounds, which is about 0.08% of the PCBs that we're dealing with, which ends up to be about 15,000 pounds of PCBs. And overall, the overall reduction is significant compared to that. And Dave? And so EPA, who sits on the state enhanced remedy meetings that we have once a month, it's a working meeting like we envision this one to be, taking place during the day, where we go through the Harbor Development Commission goes through what their plans are for the year, when they're going to need to build a new pad cell. Real estate is very tight there, and we can't keep putting CAD cells. There's only a certain amount of CAD cells that can be put there. So, and they will be the best ones to make that decision because they know the area very well. They're the ones who are designing them, and they would know. They know more than anybody about what the harbor looks like, and working with them, we already know how they operate, and we're happy with that. And we thought that this would be a great thing for them to build this, as they've already built 2.5 already. So, so it's a cost-effective way to do this work. There will be jobs created, and it will accelerate the cleanup of the lower harbor completely, with the exception of a couple spots on Marsh Island. You know, it does also, you know, just in a perspective-wise, remove the stigma of contamination in a working harbor, a harbor that very much wants to move forward and be revitalized, as I know you all want that to be, and healthy. Dave? And, okay, I already mentioned the limited area of CAD cells, and why that we wanted the HTC to do this. And there could even be a possibility of a combined cell. The HTC will need to be building more CAD cells for navigational dredging. So the timing of the CAD cell construction may be advantageous to do a joint CAD cell, or maybe not. That just depends. We're going forward with this. We do have the funding. We did get additional funding to build this, because headquarters liked the idea that we were trying to, you know, look at this and try to, you know, move on this cleanup. So they did offer up $9 million for the design and construction of this cell. And we are also looking into ways of reusing this material, clean, virgin clean material underneath the top of the CAD once that's exposed. If it can't be reused in a beneficial way, it'll be disposed of at an off-site, permanent off-site disposal facility, either in Massachusetts Bay off Cape Cod, which they already have a permit for, and recently received a permit from the Rhode Island off-site disposal facility from the Corps of Engineers. Dave? And these are, for this particular phase of the project, which is the design and construction of the cell itself. That's all this particular phase is. And these are the things that will be performed in detail that we'll be looking at. The detailed engineering design, suitability determination for areas where that haven't been actually characterized yet for suitability determination. And what that is you have to characterize the material to make sure that it is basically non-human activity touched, and they can determine this by the amount of metals in the material. And going to they're right now doing borings in the harbor to try to characterize and see what the best location of the cat cell is going to be. And after the design is done, RFP will be put out with a bid to the public. It'll be advertised, and there'll be oversight by both the HDC and their contractor, as well as EPA. EPA will do the air monitoring, and the HDC will do the quality monitoring. And EPA will actually oversee all of it. And so that's the. So the schedule is essentially 2011 we started the design phase, and 2000 those who have the work plan, we have some extra copies of the work plan. We did not bring enough, obviously, but we are going to post it on the website, the EPA website, which is www.epa.gov/NBH. And it'll be under technical documents section. And so it will take from, like, essentially, if things go as planned, from May, this coming May to next March is the construction period of the cell. And thereafter, it will take about 2 to 3 years to fill it. And that's the next phase where scows and mechanical dredge operations come in, and more interest, I think, will be at that end in terms of environmental monitoring. And so, so far we've done 20% of the cleanup, and it's taken 7 years. So this would be more like a 4-year project, and get 33% of it completed. And this is just a map showing where we would be doing the dredging, which would be all these locations in the lower harbor. These are this Cog Show, Route 195, Hurricane Barrier, Route 6. These, not these, but these spots, and then a little bit up here above Cogswell Street will be put into the EPA CAD cell, and that amounts to a little less than 300,000 cubic yards. We always design for a little bit over dredging, and so it's maybe 300 yard cell. I think
Do you want to just talk a little about what the CAD cell is, how it will be installed?
well, does anybody not know about what a CAD cell is? No, that's just in case. I think
We're going to hear more about that.
Elaine?
What a CAD cell is.
Okay.
Elaine, excuse me. For the purpose of WBSM that's here, people were under the impression that the CAD cell was, that the EPA was going to dredge material, put it in containers, and put the containers into the water underground.
what we're planning to do is to mechanically dredge these areas that were just on the map, put them in a barge scow, and it'll be wet. We'll make sure it's wet, and it is a double hull bottom drop scow, which will open up and be placed into the CAD cell. Or if it's done mechanically, it can either be done that way, or it can be done with a long stick arm with a bucket and placed in that way too. So there are different ways to actually place the material into the CAD cell. Sir?
For those of us who are technically challenged, do you have an actual diagram of a CAD cell? Wait a minute, please, let me finish my question.
Okay.
Are you going to use bentonite? Are you going to use high-density liner? How are you going to do this? Can you show us an actual diagram of what you propose doing? That's just a schematic.
It is a schematic. The
Show me
details,
actual,
the details, no, we're not gonna be using bentonite or liner, it's not necessary.
who said?
We don't feel it's necessary because the impermeability, or the permeability coefficient rate of movement through these materials is extremely low, like bentonite. So, groundwater will not wanna go through it.
If I may suggest, I wonder if we could keep the comments right now to sort of general comment. I heard that about what a cell looks like. And some of the specifics that may get to questions that are in the technical material that I reviewed will come up later. The groundwater issue, the question of whether the cells are to be lined, whether the cap is to be active, those sorts of details are details that are in the design phase and are really subject to some questions. I would agree with you.
In other words.
So I think in the interest of where we are in time, maybe keep the technical.
It's not a complete design.
It's not a complete design at all, and that's what these meetings are going to be about, understanding all the different technical aspects of the design.
Yes, you can know
And will we be privy to this design process?
That's what we're doing right now. That's
So
where we're starting.
will we be privy to it as it goes along? So if we have any objections, we can say, hey, wait a minute, how about that?
Yes, so directing everybody to the agenda, what we wanted to do was get some feedback initially. Frank Boland has done an initial review of the current record of information on what EPA has provided, get some feedback from Frank, and then hear from everybody else about technical concerns and questions related to the CADs, because we want to construct a meeting schedule over the next few months that hits every one of these issues in great detail. So the goal today is to hear all technical concerns. But we want to start that right now. I think we should just go right to you, Frank, to get the discussion about the technical issues, the technical concerns I've got. So